So you may think this is actually a prequel to the original Strangers. It is not. I don't know why anyone would think that other than the title of the movie being The Strangers Chapter 1 or the tagline in the movie being Find Out How the Strangers became the Strangers. Yeah, I don't know why I would think it was a prequel. Silly me, it's not a prequel, it's just a random movie. And yet not a random movie at the same time. So The Strangers Chapter 1 was directed by Renny Harlin, and it's about this couple that goes on a vacation, and basically they get lost, their car breaks down, and they're forced to stay at this Airbnb for a little bit, and basically these three strangers come and attack them for very random reasons. So this was a movie that I knew I wasn't looking forward to. I know this is part of a new trilogy that they're trying to do with these characters, and the other two movies in this trilogy have already been shot. But I was not looking forward to it because the trailer didn't really impress me too much. It looked a little too similar to The Strangers in that it's kind of like a Disney live action remake where they just copy and paste from the original movie almost verbatim at times. So I was not looking forward to it, but I still gave it a chance because the original Strangers, in my opinion, is not a great movie. Yes, I have the Blu-ray, but I bought it when it was on sale. But I do think that the craftsmanship is decent, but the script itself is not particularly great. This is a movie that is very unsettling and definitely a movie where I feel like I watch it every Halloween. I still kind of get creeped out by it. I may not watch it this Halloween because I watched it in preparation for this movie. But this movie's not good. This movie is really not good. If you saw the first Strangers movie like all the way back in 2008, then you pretty much have seen The Strangers Chapter 1 because it almost follows every exact beat from the original movie. Well, for the most part, but I'll talk about that later. But is there anything good in this movie? The atmosphere is okay. It does feel creepy, kind of like the original movie does. Admittedly, can be pretty laughable at times, almost so bad it's good. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything else about this movie, I just felt was really bad. I thought the actors did not really do a good job. I did not really believe them as a couple in this movie. At least in the first Strangers movie, I kind of believed Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman as a couple. This movie, not really. And also, what I really don't like about this movie are the actual strangers themselves. Because, like, the strangers in this movie are incredibly laughable. They are just not intimidating at all. Like, at least in the original one, like, it was creepy, like, not knowing what their motive was and not really knowing, like, why they're doing these things. And also, like, they don't really talk through this movie, so it's just kind of really creepy as well. This movie, at one point, like, one of the strangers is running away from one of the members of the couple, and it's like, it is so laughable. It looks like Michael Cera running in Superbad. It's that ridiculous. Also, like, at one point, one of the strangers screams. It's like, I do not take these people seriously. Like, I don't take these strangers. I'm not intimidated by these characters. I'm just laughing at them. They are so ridiculous. Also, it is so much like the original movie that it just annoyed me. Like, you could play a drinking game with everything from the original movie in this movie. It's like, the setup, various lines from the original movie, plot points. It's like they kind of do some different variations on plot points, but it doesn't change the fact that they basically did take a lot from that movie. And what I hate about this movie, too, is that it's too professional. That may sound like a really good thing that it actually feels professionally made, but no, this actually hurts the movie more than it helps it. Like, it hurts the fact that it feels like, all the shots in this movie are very steady and actually felt like, there was a camera, like a professional camera set in place. In the original, every shot of that movie is like, kind of like wonky. It's like kind of like, it's kind of moving and such. Like, that's kind of how the movie was shot. But this movie, I don't think there was like a single, like, I mean, there were a few camera movements here and there, but I never felt like it was like uneasy throughout it. Like, the camera movement in the original helped make the movie feel uneasy and just made it feel more intense. This movie, it doesn't work because, like, they're trying to take it as seriously as possible. I think the best way to describe this movie is that it tries so hard to be good that it winds up being bad. Like, it just does not work for me. It just does not work. And also, the cliffhanger ending, I really hated it. I really hated that. There's a mid-credit scene too, which I also really hated. Yeah, it feel like, because it also just lacks part of the point of the original movie. Something that was really terrifying about the original Strangers movie was that it can be random, it can happen to anyone, and it just feels intense, and it's just going to be incredibly intense. The cliffhanger ending in this movie is so laughable, and again, it goes against everything that the original Strangers movie was like, basically saying, this is not random. This is not really a random thing that's happening. And I just felt angry about it. I just felt angry watching this movie. There are some moments where it is kind of laughable, like, there's a moment where one of the characters has asthma, so at one point, because of course he's got to lose his inhaler. Anyone who has asthma has to lose their inhaler in the movie, apparently. Um, he actually finds a, used water bottle and starts breathing into that. Okay. Okay. But this movie is not particularly good. This movie has okay atmosphere, and it can be enjoyable under the right circumstances. But if you really enjoyed the first Strangers movie, I would recommend watching that movie over this one. Because that movie is a lot more intense, that movie is a lot more mysterious, that movie is actually terrifying. This movie is the exact opposite. It is not scary. It is too professionally made. Again, normally that would be a plus for a movie, but I just felt like it really did not really work. It just kind of betrayed the filmmaking of the original movie. I'm not going to act like The Strangers is like the end all be all of horror movies. I'm not going to act like it's one of the greatest horror movies ever made, but this movie kind of makes the original Strangers kind of look like The Shining. It is that bad. I'll give Strangers Chapter 1, accurately named, 1 out of 4 stars. Skip it. So, what's a horror movie that you think is underrated? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat. Stay safe.